Hello detectives, and welcome to my slightly late video for April. I'm really sorry that I didn't manage to post this actually in April, but what happened was that I took a little bit of holiday between the first and second drafts of my sixth book. That book is going to be coming to you in February 2018, so not long to wait, and I've just started to edit the second draft of it, and I'm really excited by the story that's taking shape. Can't wait for you to read it. But for now, what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about the books that I read on my holiday, because I really did just spend a week and a half reading a lot of books. So these are the books that really interested and excited me on my holiday, and I think that you'll really enjoy them as well. The first book is by an author who, as you may know, recently won the Waterstones Prize. Kiran Millwood Hargrave is a wonderful writer and a wonderful person, and I was so delighted to be able to read her second book, The Island at the End of Everything, a whole month early. This is a book about Ami, who lives at the island at the end of everything. She is taken away from it for reasons you'll find out in this book, and the story is her trying to get back to it with her friend and find her mother. It's a beautiful story of friendship and love and butterflies, as you can tell from the cover, and I think you'll love this if you love beautiful writing and you're about 8+. The next book is another book for 8+ readers, for about the same age group as enjoy my books, and it is a book that I read when I was your age. It is The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett. Now, I love Terry Pratchett's books. He was one of the authors that really got me into reading and got me really wanting to become an author. All of his books take place in the Discworld, this fantasy world that's flat, not round like ours, and there are lots of different series that go on in the Discworld. My favourite are The Guards and the Tiffany Aching books. They're all about Tiffany, a girl who lives on the chalk, and she herds sheep with her family, but it turns out she's a little bit special. She may actually be a witch. Tiffany is a fantastic heroine. She is so strong-willed and stubborn, and I think there's a little bit of Daisy in her. I loved these books when I was younger, and I reread them again because I was part of the Terry Pratchett Virtually Live Puffin show that went out last week and should now be up on the internet for you to watch. It was a wonderful way to pay tribute to one of my very favourite authors and a book that I'm completely passionate about. Plus, they have just re-released this lovely book with a brand new cover by Laura Ellen Anderson, who is a fantastic illustrator. You may know her from Witch Wars and My Brother's a Superhero. She is pretty great, and she's done a lovely job on this cover. So I hope you'll really enjoy this book, and I hope reading it will get you into Terry Pratchett, because he is an author that I think you will love for the rest of your life. The next book is for slightly older readers. I would say it's for YA 12+, and it is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. Now, I loved Becky's first book, Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda. It's a really sweet, fun teen love story, and this, again, is a really sweet, fun teen love story. Becky writes so well about being a teenager, what it's really like, that feeling that everyone but you is in love, that you may just not be lovable, that there's something maybe wrong with you, that you're not good at being a teenager. All of those feelings and more are in this book. So if you're somebody who's a little bit unconfident, who isn't really sure about their place in the world, this is a fantastic book to read. The family of Molly is just delightful. I really enjoyed reading about them as well as about her romance. I think this is just a fantastic, sweet YA read. And the next book I have is YA too, but it's a little bit more hard-hitting. It is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. And this is a book that is absolutely fantastic. It is incredibly well written. It is incredibly emotional. And if you've heard a little bit about what's been going on in America in terms of a movement called Black Lives Matter, this is a really great book for you, because this sort of explains what Black Lives Matter is about by telling the story of a girl called Star, who is 16 and she lives in America. She goes to a party just like a normal teenager, and something absolutely terrible happens to her friend Khalil at the end of the party. And it's something that changes Star's life, and it turns her into a very different sort of person. It's a really difficult book to read in terms of the things that happen to its characters. It can be a bit scary at times, but it's a really important book to read if you want to understand why Black Lives Matter is important, if you want to understand the movement, if you've heard about it. This is a really great book. Just by reading this book, I feel so much more connected to the Black Lives Matter movement. I understand it better. I have so much more empathy for it, and I think this is a wonderful tool, as well as being an incredibly good story. I would say this is for about 14 plus, but I do think that if you're a bit younger, you could read it through with an adult and talk to them about it, talk through the questions you have, because I think it's such an important book that it should be read by maybe slightly younger readers than it's meant for. It's just a fantastic story, and I absolutely loved it. I think Angie Thomas is a massive talent, and this book deserves all the praise that's been heaped on it, and I hope it goes on to be as mega successful as it started out being. And finally, I always like to end up by talking about one book that is a bit older, one book that influenced me in my childhood and influences me now in my writing. And so I'm going to mention this book, Murder on the Orient Express. Now, if you know my books, you will know that I'm really obsessed with Murder on the Orient Express. It is by Agatha Christie, and it inspired one of my own books, First Class Murder. I am in fact so obsessed with Murder on the Orient Express that it has gone on to inspire not just First Class Murder, but I realize as I was writing the first draft of book 6 that it inspires book 6 as well. And it does that in a totally different way to how I used it in First Class Murder. I use the backstory to Murder on the Orient Express to influence what happens in book 6. If you want a few more clues about what happens in book 6, I've already told you that it happens in Hong Kong. I've already told you that it happens with Hazel's family. And the third clue about what happens in this book is contained inside Murder on the Orient Express. So if you read it and you find out what case is secretly behind all of the things that are happening in Murder on the Orient Express, you'll know a little bit about the kind of things that I'm thinking about in book 6. So that is pretty much it. That is what I've been reading. I have obviously been on holiday, but I am back to work and I am working really hard on that second draft of book 6. As I say, it is something that I am incredibly excited about. It was a story that I was so excited to tell, and now I'm going over it and making it better. I can see that it's going to be one of my very favorite stories. I can't wait for you to read it.